Hey friends, Dana here from MadeEveryday.com, and this is a quick video to help you stretch your sewing skills. I'm going to share some tips with how to sew with knit fabrics on your standard sewing machine. Knit fabrics are stretchy fabrics that have two-way stretch or four-way stretch. Two-way stretch means they stretch in two directions, which kind of sounds like one, but these two ways. Four-way stretch means it also stretches in this direction, and the most comfortable kind have a little bit of spandex in them like this does, so it makes it extra stretchy. It's because of the way that the threads are knitted together, the same way that here's a little baby blanket that I made for my daughter. With knitting needles, I made these little loops that are linking the whole thing together and making this really stretchy. Well, if you look at your t-shirt, it actually has the same thing. If you get really close, you can see those same little knitted lines, just like our blanket here, which is so crazy. And because they're knitted links instead of being like a woven fabric, which this is, woven is just going straight perpendicular up and down. In fact, you can see the edges fraying here. This does not have stretch, while a knit with those knitted threads being looped together has great stretch. So now you know. You can sew with knits right on your standard sewing machine. In fact, I have my cute little Joy baby lock machine here. This is kind of an entry-level machine, and all you need is a zigzag stitch, which almost every sewing machine comes with. I'm gonna show you on my other baby lock, the Brilliant, because sometimes there are some fun stitches that are intended for sewing with knits. When you're sewing with knits, you want to use a stitch that will stretch with your fabric so that the stitch line doesn't break the first time you put the item on or use it. And I will show you an example of that. So I'm just using my standard sewing machine here. You could use a serger if you have a serger, but you don't need one. It's kind of a luxury thing, I guess. So I'll start with a straight stitch here, just going straight down. And let's pull this off and see. I used a thread that will show up well. Okay, let's say this was my leggings and I put them on. Boom, my stitch line already broke. So that's not gonna work. Instead, if I come up here, or you could look in your owner's manual, but my machine has a variety of different stitches. And I've tried a bunch of these out. Some of these are called overcasting stitches, and they work really well for knits. I like to use this one here, this number 19 on my baby lock machine, but you can always use a zigzag stitch. Good old zigzag will work great. So let me show you all those. I just have a standard zigzag stitch selected on my machine, and most machines will come with a zigzag. Even if you don't have, a fancy setup or multiple stitches, even old machines typically will have a zigzag, and that works great. So if I come over here, back to my fabric, and I will do a little zigzag here. And we'll see how that looks. Okay, there's my stitch. Let me pull it out here so you can see better. Okay, and if I pull on that, look, it's stretching with my fabric. So that is a really great option to use a zigzag. Now let me show you that one I was talking about, the kind of overcasting stitch. This overcast stitch takes a little longer to sew because it's sewing so many stitches as it goes, but let's start it there. But it works really great. I use it whenever I sew leggings, or I have a really fun video for a knit pencil skirt. And this is the way I do my waistband with elastic enclosed, and it's just awesome. Look in your owner's manual and see what kind of stitches come with your machine. And there might be stuff that you didn't even realize that you have that will work great for this kind of sewing with knits. Okay, there you go. You can see how that stitch looks compared to the zigzag and compared to our straight stitch, which broke on us. So let's stretch this one and see, look at that one. That one stretches, I would say, the most out of all of them. So I really like that one. If I stretch it a lot, you can sort of see what the stitch looks like in there. So there you go. You can sew with knits just on your standard sewing machine. Yes, there are special needles made to work with stretch type of fabrics, but in my world, I just stick with standard old universal needles for pretty much everything I sew because I just don't want to change my needle. Universal needles and stretch needles, sometimes called ball needles. And you just open the package and you can take a needle out. Now the concept with these needles is that here's my standard universal needle, and it's pretty sharp on the end. The ball needle or stretch needle, I mean, it's pretty hard to really tell the difference, but the ball needle is supposed to be just a little more rounded on the tip so that instead of puncturing your knit fabrics as it goes, it just kind of brushes past the loops and stitches that way. So, like I said, you can switch your needle or you can be lazy like me. Sewing with knits can be an adventure because every knit fabric is different. Some stretch more than others, and some have different purposes. Some are meant to just go around collars of tank tops and sweatshirts. Some are made for the body of your shirt. But that is the fun and kind of the challenge of sewing with knits, is to just give it a try and see where it takes you. Sometimes when you begin your stitch line, and it sort of depends on the thickness of your fabric, but the ends of the fabric can have a tendency to get sucked right down into the throat plate. Your machine is eating your fabric into this little hole right here, and that can be super frustrating. So here are 2 tips to help with that. Place a pin at the end of your fabric, and that will give you a little bit of leverage to help guide your fabric through as you go. And here's where I'm supposed to tell you not to sew over pins, but we're doing it, and I feel great about it. So you can see I'm holding on both sides here, and I'm just gonna use that to help kind of nudge my fabric through a little bit as I get started so the fabric doesn't get sucked down in. Another idea is to just bypass this beginning part of your fabric, just like we did in our zipper video, if you remember that. I'm gonna start down a little bit. I can start sewing. Once we get to the end, let's say we finished our line, you can just turn around and finish off this part. No big deal. You can do things your way, it's fine. I would probably want to do a little back stitch so that I can, tie that knot off, and then you can do a back stitch at the end here too. Cut your threads, and then you've sewn all the way to the end. Simplify your life. I hope high on your list is this cute little tank top that I shared how to make recently in one of my videos. T-shirts, leggings, shorts, bags, headbands. What else? Oh, sometimes I love taking my knit fabric and just using it for little strings because it curls up cute on a little gift. Okay, here's a little more inspiration. Here's that tank top again. I added some ruffly sleeves to it, which adds a fun little touch, made out of some cat fabric I designed. And here's a fun dress out of strawberry fabric I designed. It is a hack on my summer day top pattern, which is in my shop. And it's just so comfortable in a knit fabric. I love wearing it. This is a beach cover-up. I like to make leggings for myself and for my kids. And these are the little baby hats with pom-poms that I'm definitely going to make. They're so much fun. And they are a great gift if you combine it with a little receiving blanket, which is always easy to make. I have tutorials for that on my site. Here's those knit headbands again, pencil skirt, t-shirts, dress, sweatshirts. So have fun sewing with knits. Remember to embrace the adventure, get out your sewing machine and just give it a try. And for more ideas, you can check out my website, madeeveryday.com. And for all of your sewing machine needs, go to babylock.com where it's all for the love of sewing. Okay, I will see you next time. Bye.